It's around 8 p.m. on the evening of the 23rd of February 2007. A high-speed passenger train travelling from London Euston Station to Glasgow, carrying 105 passengers and 4 crew, is racing through the Cumbrian countryside in near total darkness. When suddenly the occupants feel the carriages start violently rocking from side to side, the outcome of their fate is unfolding before them, and what happens next is one of the most surprising and incredible twists of events that I've read through whilst researching these investigations. This is the truly harrowing story of the Pendolino West Coast Grayrigg train derailment. Cumbria is situated in the northwest of England and is home to the Lake District and its national park. It's classified as an AONB, or an area of outstanding natural beauty. Its wide open spaces and rolling hillsides also features mountainous peaks and flooded valleys that create huge lakes, a truly awe-inspiring landscape that stretches out for miles. The route in question being the West Coast Mainline, or WMCL, opened between 1837 and 1869, and it's owned by Network Rail. This very important line, which is classed or nicknamed a Premier Line, its label derived from the purpose of being one of the busiest rail corridors in Europe. Its high mixture of freight, regional and intercity passenger use is a vital artery between the north and south of the UK. To give you some idea of perspective, it's said to carry around 40% of all rail traffic in the country and has links to Europe via the Channel Tunnel. The sheer scale of this line is epic. It's 642 kilometres or 399 miles. Once you add in the line extensions to the other cities and towns, it makes 700 miles, 1,127 kilometres. Most fully electrified with its 25 kV OLE or overhead line equipment or third rail. Couple this with its high traffic density, a staggering 60 trains 24 hours a day and night through some of the most remote locations accessible. As impressive as that is, this will be making headlines before the morning for all the wrong reasons. The locomotive that we're talking about today at the time was an engineering masterpiece. The fully electric Class 390 Pendolino motor coach, utilising the Italian Pendolino tilting technology, Pendolino, which means pendulum in English, enabled the AVT or advanced passenger train to reach higher speeds and create a more comfortable environment for the occupants in reducing lateral G loading on high-speed curves. Built by Alstom, these lighter electric units are fed their power via the overhead lines or OLE. The system mounted to the roof of the train to transfer electricity via the pantograph or pan, as these units have not been designed to create their own power, so there was no huge diesel generator on what was the power car. It meant the first coach was able to carry passengers and the driver had a small cabin at the front, hence the term motor coach. This Class 390 train was originally designed to operate at high speed, 140 miles an hour or 225 kilometers per hour, although due to the antiquated network, of which in the UK was built in the late 1800s, although it had been significantly upgraded through 1990 to 2000, it was unable to have the Pendolino reach its desired top speed, although it would be able to run at 125 miles an hour, 201 kilometers per hour on certain sections of the line. The 1715 is departing on time with no reported faults or technical issues. The train has boarded the passengers and the 4 crew are settling in for around 10 stops, 5 hours on their high-speed journey as the sun goes down in the winter of 2007. The 7 carriages and 2 motor coaches roll gently from the busy, well-lit station. It leaves the cafes and the shops still bustling with people toward the end of the workday on the 23rd of February. The initial journey is uneventful, and by the time the train reached the first stop, there was no sunlight to be seen at all. Passengers boarding have only the artificial lighting available from the carriages, and the platforms also offered little shelter from the seasonal rain. The weather conditions outside would be party to the sequence of events, but not in the way you may think. Some implications that would play out on this night are some maintenance issues that have been brought to the attention of the line operators from the line engineer team. These communications went unaddressed and had already forecast a far worse environment rolling over the line than any wind, rain or inclement weather predicted for that night. It's worth mentioning that this winter has seen significant rainfall, although the temperatures are normal for this time of year, around 7 degrees or 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and a waxing moon would have been visible through the evening clouds, although they hog the sky, voiding any one of a clear view, as the UK winters are long, predominantly cloudy and rather wet. Around 3 hours into the journey, the 1715 named the city of Glasgow has distanced itself from the cities. The rain-peppered windows are becoming less and less filled with the fragmented light from the tall, built-up apartments and tower blocks and office buildings, slowly replaced by two-storey homes in suburban areas, then open fields and rolling hillsides with the peaks of the Lake District National Park act as a backdrop, although blanketed by the night sky to the point where, through the windows, all you see is your own reflection, robbing any of the occupants of a breathtaking landscape beyond. The Class 390 Pendolino is travelling at 95 miles an hour or 153 kilometres per hour in near total darkness between Oxenholme and Penrith near Lambury. At 2012, immediately after crossing the Docker Viaduct without warning, the driver was catapulted from his seat, leaving nobody at the controls. Emergency brake was applied immediately, although this would have little to no effect. Instantly the carriages become violently rocking and swaying side to side as the motor coach then subsequent coaches leave the rails. Passengers are thrown from their seats to the floor against the sidewalls and bulkheads. Passengers are immediately injured as they desperately try to find something to hold on to. Within an estimated 2 seconds, the entire train is derailed. The momentum of the forces are so immense that the motor coach turns so violently it breaks free of the second, and now it is not coupled to any other vehicle. It's free to deviate from the track, impacting the overhead line stanchions, the 25,000 volt lines now arcing and flashing in the darkness like lightning as it tears through the infrastructure. As the train passed the points it's derailed, the left-hand switch rail was not in the open position. Some of the train wheels were then guided to both switch rails and set on course to the adjacent line as the train's massive momentum moving forward, unable to follow the abrupt change of direction. At this speed, it would mean these wheels just smash over the switch rails, ploughing through the ballast, firing in all directions. Sound would have been deafening, like being shot blasted by rocks at close range. The now headless 8 carriages venture further from the rails, also down the embankment, leaving nothing upright in its wake. Any stanchions not in the direct path of the first motor coach is now left at the mercy to the 300-ton behemoth still travelling at speed. It's now started to roll over. One passenger is thrown through a window, another gets stuck halfway out of another. Anything not strapped down has now become airborne inside the carriages and now become projectiles, creating further misery for the already injured and terrified occupants. Unfortunately, this accident is far from over. The first 5 cars, including the motor coach, have now completely turned on their side, the broken windows allowing ballast to infiltrate and create more carnage and devastation inside. The motor coach is now turned around a full 190 degrees, as if almost it was looking back towards the accident scene. Although it's come to a stop, the rest of the train is still crashing past the tops of the passenger cars, facing the bogies of the motor coach. The first carriage is pushed back up the embankment, damaging even more stanchions on the OLE, this time on the opposite side of the track, rendering both parallel lines useless for purpose, coming to a rest across both north and southbound tracks. The accident uses up 320 metres of distance and taking around 13 seconds before the vehicles finally come to a rest from the toes of the fouled 2B points, in the rain, in the dark, in the middle of nowhere. As I mentioned, the twist in this investigation was all 105 passengers, maybe more, and the 4 crew, although some seriously injured, had all survived the initial crash, although one died later in hospital. The driver, hailed a hero, Mr. Black, who was knocked unconscious during the accident, immediately called the line headquarters to shut down the rail traffic to this part of the line to prevent others becoming victims of the incident once he regained consciousness. Although the weather didn't cause the accident, it did significantly hinder the rescue operation. The rain, the darkness, the access problems caused by the narrow country lanes, which saw the farmers and locals pulling rescue vehicles free from the muddy fields. Up to 500 rescuers attended the scene, along with the 12 ambulances, 5 fire engines, seeking helicopters, the Royal Air Force, the International Rescue Corps, and civilian mountain crews, just to name a few. The outcome, the summary. So reading directly from the report, the RAIB have been unable to establish any failure of the design of the system leading up to the derailment since its introduction. Although loose fastenings and single fractured stretcher bars have been regularly identified. Fasteners to the stretcher bars are subject to considerable vibration from the passage of trains. When the present design of the stretcher bar was introduced over 50 years ago, all the bolted joints were provided with 2 bolts. Inspection and patrol regimes are designed to ensure that loose bolts are identified and corrected. My own words on this would be to say our hearts go out to the family of Margaret Masson. She was 84 at the time of the accident and an unwilling victim of a maintenance issue, and we're sorry for your loss. For me, from an early age, I've always been fascinated by these accidents, and now the smallest oversight can create such catastrophic outcomes. And this accident I had not heard about until a couple of weeks ago, and I intend to cover more just like this one in a similar way. If you'd like to hear more stories on rail accidents, please like the video. It's free to subscribe and unsubscribe at any time, and select the little bell icon where it says all, as YouTube will let you know when I release the next one. And if you have a suggestion or an interest in rail accident, please let me know in the comments or direct message me on social media. I hope to see you further down the line, so until then, keep it on the rails.